Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to another episode of the Vegas Nine Ball. Coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's another beautiful sunny day here in Las Vegas in October. And without further ado, let's jump right into the Vegas Vintage Nine Ball. First card of the day is a Roy Face, the fork baller, and Hoyt Wilhelm, the knuckleballer. I really remember a Hoyt Wilhelm. See him with that knuckleball grip there. He was a pioneer of the knuckleball. I remember he taught his knuckleball to Charlie Huff, who also played for several years, almost until he was 50. So between these two guys, I think they started, in their late 20s and pitched all the way until their 50s. I think Hoyt Wilhelm pitched close to 20 years in the big leagues and had a 2.5 ERA with that knuckleball. He used him mostly as a reliever. Of course, he had a few seasons where he started as well, but mostly a reliever. 20 seasons with a 2.5 ERA, that's pretty strong. And he is the pioneer, of course, of the knuckleball in the big leagues. Later on, you see other knuckleballers, the Niekro brothers, Charlie Huff, Tim Wakefield, those guys. But Hoyt Wilhelm was the first, so we'll put him on the stand. He's played briefly with the Cubs in the early 70s. So we'll put him on the Cubs stand. Next card is Jerry Mumphrey. This is another guy who played for the Cubs. You see him here with the nacho hat without the ear flaps. You get nachos and you go to the ball game these days. But yeah, he was a reserve outfielder and pinch hitter for the Cardinals here. He later played for the Cubs and among other teams, Yankees. Bounced around, kind of was a pinch hitter guy, reserve outfielder, but had a long career in the big leagues and kind of a role player. Jerry Mumphrey played for the Cubs. Next card is Don Baylor, a DH and outfielder. Here he is again with the helmet with no flap. I don't know how that guys did that back in those days, the butterfly color and the no air flap. But Don Baylor was a bad dude, big man. I think this year, at the tops, he won the MVP. I remember he won the MVP in the late 70s for the Angels. Last stats on here, 34 and 99. So maybe it was a year after this that he won MVP. But yeah, a lot of good years with the Angels, Yankees, several other teams, A's, and yeah, good hitter. Later going to manage. Of course, he managed the Cubs and the Rockies. And great player, MVP player. And here he is with the batting gloves inside Angel Stadium, looks like. Next card is Boog Powell. Of course, Boog Powell was a great power hitter for the Orioles in the late 60s. The nice looking card. I like the vintage logo. They bring that back in the early 2000s. Or late, maybe the 90s, they bring that logo back. Nice looking logo. Boog Powell, great power hitter for the Orioles. Those teams with Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, and of course Boog Powell was the big slugging first baseman for those teams. Country strong. He would have the cutoff uniform. He wouldn't wear sleeves underneath. And one of those guys who was very intimidating when he came to the plate. Played most of his career with the Orioles, but then once Frank Robinson retired and managed the Indians, I think he recruited Powell to play for the Indians for a few years. But yeah, Boog Powell, big-time power hitter, big-time popular player for the Orioles. Member of the Orioles Hall of Fame. So yeah, Boog Powell, put him on the stand. Should be in the Hall of Fame or close to a Hall of Fame career anyhow. Here's Greg Jeffries. Looks like he's watching that ball go right by him. And here he is with the Cardinals. He was one of the biggest prospects in baseball with the Mets in the early 90s, late 80s. His card was the card to get. Greg Jeffries, he was supposed to be the next superstar. Never really turned into the player that everybody thought he would be. But switch hitter. Here he is batting right-handed. And middle infielder. And first baseman, kind of bounce around utility guy, but never really turned into the player everybody thought he was going to be with the Mets when he first came up. Played with the Royals, the Cardinals, several other teams. But good player, just never turned into the superstar he was projected to be in the late 80s. Here's Dave Winfield, 1990 score. I like these 1990 scores. Almost all of the photos on these are in-action photos. And that's what really separated score when they first came out in the early 90s, late 80s. I think maybe 89 was their first year. But here is Big Dave Winfield on the Yankees. Hall of Famer, big-time player. Played for several teams. Yankees, Padres, Blue Jays, Twins, among others. Here's Mark Grant, pitcher for the Padres. He now does their broadcast. He's a TV guy, their color commentary guy. He does a good job. They have a good broadcasting team down there in San Diego. Enjoy listening to those guys. Mark Grant, the color guy. And here he is as a reliever. Kind of just average middle reliever during his time as a pitcher for the Padres. Now he's a commentator. Mark Grant. Here's Barry Larkin, Fleer. Like I said, I prefer the in-action shots, but here he is, the Hall of Famer, Barry Larkin, just standing, posing for this photo here for Fleer. And, of course, he was a great shortstop for the Reds in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, all the way into the 2000s. And Barry Larkin, Hall of Famer, great player. Put him on the stand. And last but not least is Rob Deer. Nothing runs like a deer. And yeah, Rob Deer, he was one of the 3 true outcome guys. Walk, strikeout, or home run. They'd love him in today's game. He'd be a multimillionaire. He had big-time power, prestigious power, I was trying to say. And yeah, big-time power guy. And loved watching him hit those long bombs, but also would lead the league in strikeouts most years. Rob Deer. Strikeout, home run, or walk. And that'll end it for today's Vegas 9. Appreciate you watching, and I hope this brings you back. And take care.